the supply curve means how it would be. So we discussed two types within the demand curve and the shift in the demand and the supply curve. So two types of changes can be taken place in the demand and the supply curves. And also regarding the equilibrium point, if there is change in the equilibrium point, a shift in the demand and supply curves means how the equilibrium point shift to the new one. So these are the things which we discussed in yesterday's class, and today we are going to continue the same. Just a minute, I'll upload the PPT. Is the PPT visible, guys?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this
Yes,
is
ma'am.
the okay, ma. This is the diagram which we discussed last. So the equilibrium point is, again I'm explaining the same thing. The equilibrium point is in this diagram, it's E, which makes the equilibrium price as $1.4 and the equilibrium quantity as 600 million in 600 million of units. And if the price increases above the equilibrium price, means what will happen? So the excess, there will be some surplus, excess supply of goods are available in the market, but with demand is shorter than the supply. So automatically there will be decline in the price, and the price will starts decline from 1.8 to 1.4. So when there is surplus, automatically the prices decline and it will be maintained in the equilibrium point. And in the second case, if there is some shortage, means that is below equilibrium price, that is 1.2. If there is some shortage, means at that shortage, the demand is more than the supply. So when there is more demand, automatically the prices will be higher. So the price moves towards the equilibrium price, that is $1.4, and it reaches the equilibrium price. And always the economy will be maintained at equilibrium price when there are the abnormal situation of surplus or the shortage. So this is the case of classical economists from the classical school. So this is the thing, last thing which we discussed yesterday. To the next one, take your notebook. Take a notebook. So here two equations was given. P is equal to 80 plus QD and P is equal to 20 plus 2QS. So out of these two functions, QD, the term QD refers to the demand function, that is quantity demanded. So that's a demand function. And the term QS refers to the supply function. So here you are having demand function and the supply function which was given, and you have to calculate the equilibrium price and the quantity from these equations. So what is the condition to be a equilibrium point?
QD is equal to QS.
Okay. So equate these equations, supply and the demand equations, equate these equations. 80 plus QD is equal to 20 plus 2QS. Equate these equations and find the value of P and D. And always you will get a single quantity value, that is QD is equal to QS. So always you will get a single Q value, and the same Q will be maintained as the quantity demanded and the quantity supplied, because that's the equilibrium point, both are equal. So the same value will be for Q, quantity demanded and quantity supplied. So you will get an answer for P as well as Q.
Ma'am, Q 60 and P 140.
Okay, Jairaj Mehta. P, what is the value of P?
140.
140, and Q is equal to
60.
60.
60. Yeah, okay. Is everybody getting the same answer?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, ma. Try the next one. In December, the demand for Christmas trees rises and the price of trees also rises. The demand also rises and the price also rises. Is this a violation of the law of demand? So law of demand states the negative relationship between the price and the quantity demanded. If one increases means the other have to decrease. If the price increases means the quantity have to decrease. But in this case, the demand and the prices for Christmas trees are increasing. Both are increasing. So is this a violation of the law?
Yes.
Yeah. Is this a violation?
No.
Yeah, Jairaj, come with your view.
Yes.
Yes, it's a violation. Okay, any other answer? Anybody? So overall accepting this is a violation of law of demand.
Yes.
Yeah, Bridget.
Yes.
Bridget, are you conveyed something? Oh, but we didn't hear. I didn't hear your voice. You are unmuting your mic and saying
Ma'am,
something.
yes,
Yeah. Yeah, Bridget.
ma'am, it is violation of law of demand.
Okay. How? How is a violation? Anybody can answer.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
ma'am, certain goods don't follow law of demand, like Giffen goods and Veblen goods.
Okay. So this is
Like,
the violation
so that
of law of demand. So this comes under the exceptions. Yeah. Okay. Right, Siddharth. Again. Then.
so I think it's comes under exception, so it's not a violation. I'm not sure.
Yeah, okay. It's not the violation. You're correct, Siddharth. It's not the violation. It's an exception. Bridget?
Ma'am, in Christmas, it is necessary to buy trees. So, as he told, it is exception of law of demand.
Okay.
Like it
Ma'am,
is
does it become
necessary
like a
to
status
buy.
symbol?
Yeah, okay. First, you have to determine the type of the commodity, whether it's a normal commodity or a necessary commodity or a luxury commodity. Then only you have to decide whether it comes under a violation or a exception or on the exception of the law of demand. And which type of commodity is this? Christmas trees?
Luxury.
Festival.
What, yeah?
Status symbol.
Status symbol. Why it is
Status symbol.
Why it is like that?
Like
It's
it-
not a necessary commodity.
Like it's not necessary.
Okay, it's not a necessary commodity and it's not a normal one too. So that comes under the category of luxury commodities, which used to show our status symbol commodity. So every individual does not use the same commodity in the particular season. So this is the exception, and which comes under whose commodity? Veblen or Giffen? Luxury commodity, conspicuous consumption comes under
Blondes.
Veblen's. Okay. Go through the next one. For the last 3 decades, tuition fees of Delhi University have increased by 20%. At the same time, the number of students enrolled has increased from 28,000 to 43,000. So this was an example. So does this example demonstrate that the law of demand is false? Here also you have to determine the type of the commodity. Here it's the education is the type of the commodity. So you have to decide whether the commodity comes under the normal or the necessity commodity or a luxury commodity. Then only you have to say whether it falls under the violation or on the exception. So the type of a commodity is necessity commodity. Comes under the exception which was given by Giffen. And go through the next one. Here we are having a table which says
Ma'am,
about the
what's the difference between normal and necessity commodity? Can you explain it once in brief?
Okay. Necessity commodity is the commodity, whatever may be the prices, the consumers demand that particular product. And those commodities falls under the needy commodities, necessary, essential commodities. And the normal commodities, even though the prices are cheaper, if a consumer want to buy means, he can. Otherwise, he can refuse that.
And and then- and the luxurious, that's
So what is breaking?
luxurious.
The commodity, this also depends on the individual's mindset. If they want, the prices of these commodities are higher than the normal commodities. So if a consumer want to show his status means he can buy. Otherwise, if he wants to buy means it's not a needy commodity. If he wants to buy the high price commodity to show his status that he is an important member in the society or something else means he go for the consumption. So this case was analyzed by Giffen, Veblen.
Okay, ma'am.
So the purchase of luxury commodities, high price commodities, status symbol commodities comes under the Veblen commodities, and the low price commodities with the needy. So those things comes under the Giffen commodities. Giffen commodities, they curve slope upwards, and for the Veblen, it slope downwards. But shows when there is an increase in the prices, the demand increases.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, Jiraj. So what about the question which is in this slide? So the first question is, so in the table we are having the prices, and at that particular prices the quantity supplied and demanded by the consumer, these details were given. And what is the equilibrium price of the commodity, and what makes you think so? What is the equilibrium price?
160 rupees.
160 rupees. 160 is the equilibrium price because
The quantity demanded and the quantity supplied are same.
They are equal, so rupees 160 is the equilibrium price. And if the organizers decide to set a price at 180 means how many hot dogs will be sold? If the price is at 180 means how many units will be sold?
1600.
Why 1600? But the supply is 4800.
But the there will be only 1600 orders of hot dogs.
Okay,
At
even though there is more supply, the demanded does only 1600. So the commodities which was sold is only 1600 and not 4800. Yeah, okay, it's right. Is it clear, guys?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, ma. So you will get the problems in this demand and the supply analysis like this. But regarding the elasticities, we'll have a discussions on tomorrow's class regarding the problems, numericals of elasticities of supply. So next thing that we are going to move to the next topic, which is called as demand forecasting. Okay, what do you mean by demand forecasting? What is demand forecasting? Sure, what do you mean by forecasting?
Ma'am, looking for like what will be happening in the future, like what might happen.
What it might be in the future. Yeah, okay. So demand forecasting is
I'm predicting what the demand of a commodity will be given the data.
yeah, okay. That is predicting a demand in the future. What is going to be? Okay. So demand forecasting. This is the definition which was given by Douglas, Evan Douglas, a process of finding values for demand in future time periods. So demand always be in numbers, so we can predict the numbers in future. For this, we are using several methods, several techniques to make a forecast. So in simple words, just we are going to forecast, we are going to predict, we are going to expect what is going to be in the future in numbers. What are the objectives? Here these objectives are divided into two, the short-term objective and the long-term objectives. So the short-term objectives can be these mainly depends on the nature, future characteristics of the commodity, but in general this short-term can be achieved within a year. So the first short-term objective is about the production policy. What do you mean by production policy of a firm or industry or a company? What do you mean by production policy? So it generally relates to the output. So this helps in covering the gap between the demand and the supply. So how many commodities are demanded, according to that the output is going to be. So this forecasting the production policy helps in estimating the requirement of raw materials, that is starting from the initial point, purchasing of the raw materials, and also the regular supply of raw materials can also be maintained, and it further helps in the maximization of the resources, the other resources which can be used as the inputs other than the raw materials, and also the human resources. So all these requirements can be done by this production policy. Then only we can come to know about the output, exactly what will be the output if it is matched with the demand. And next one is the price policy. So this is also one of the most important objectives of this demand forecasting, which comes under the short term. So according to the demand, the prices are fixed. So organization sets the price of the commodities according to the demand. For example, if an economy enters into the boom period, what do you mean by boom? Boom, the peak period. Do you guys know about the business cycle? What will happen in the boom? What is the general meaning of the word boom? Yeah, okay. So in the business cycle, we are, yeah. Okay. In the business cycle, we are having 4 phases, which starts from the depression, and depression is the period which the economy, all the economic activities will be in the low point, and it's the second stage is the recovery stage. Slowly all the economic activities starts to growing, and it reached the full employment and the peak point of the economy, that is each and everything is in the peak point, all the economic activities, and after reaching the maximum point it starts to decline, the recession period starts. So the depression, recovery, the boom period, and the recession. So all these 4 phases comes under the business cycle. So if the economy is in the boom period, means normally all the economic activities will be at the maximum point. The people will have more income, industries will earn more revenue, each and everything is reaching the maximum point, all those will happen. So the output also reaches its maximum point because people having more and more money to buy, so the consumption pattern, the consumption behavior increases, so the output also increases. Now, so in this situation, the producers, the sellers also fixes the higher price because people are having more money to buy. So in general, producers will fix a higher price to earn more revenue. So this is regarding the price policy and controlling sales. This helps in setting the sales targets, which acts as a basis for evaluating the sales performance of the commodity. That is, they are making organizations, they are making the demand forecast for different regions, for different markets, different geographical areas, and fix the sale targets in each and every area accordingly to achieve that target. So this is about the controlling sales and arranging finance. Last one is about the finance. So this refers to the financial requirements of the enterprises that are to be estimated with the help of this demand forecasting. So this ensures the proper liquidity. If there is if the enterprise or the company industry is having enough money to run the industry or the organization in future. So these are the things from the short term. And coming to the long term objectives, first one is the deciding about the production capacity. Policy determination comes under the short run, but how these policies, how these actions are going to take place. Ideas comes within the short run, but the application takes a time duration. So the production capacity comes under the long-term objectives. This implies that the organization can determine the size of the plant which is required for the production. So it takes a long time period that to make the size of the plant. To increase the size of the plant, that depends on the sales, that depends on the demand of the commodity. And next one is the planning long-term activities. Yeah, okay. So this implies, for example, if the company forecasted demand is high, means they can plan according to that. How to increase the capacity of machines, how to employ more human resources, how to produce the more output, what are the strategies how to be followed, the techniques to be followed, all those things, how much money to be invested in the research and development, how to improve the product, because the forecasting, the demand is going to be high in the future. So all the things have to be done. So it takes time. So these comes under the long period, long-term activities. Is it clear, guys? Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So the next one is the determinants. What are the factors which affects the demand forecasting? So we can start from the type of goods. So this type of goods affects the demand forecasting to a large extent, because we are having different types of goods, which we discussed under the types of demand. We are having producer commodities, consumer commodities, but also we are having services for this too. So apart from these two, producers and consumer goods, we are having established goods and the new goods. So established goods are the goods which are already exist in the market, which are already in the market, and whereas the new goods are the goods those which are to be introduced. Informations by demand forecasting, we can get the informations, all these the demand substitutes, what about the complementaries and the competition, competitive price, all established commodity. But on the other hand, it is these activities for the new. So this forecasting is different for different types of goods. The type of goods also affects the demand forecasting. Second one is the level of competition. So this also influences the process of demand forecasting. So while we are taking demand process, means it we have to decide each and everything in each and every step. So this competition, level of competition for the products also affects the demand forecasting in its process. For example, if it is a highly competitive market, means demand for the products also depend on the number of competitors. That is, if a product is highly competitive, if the product is having more competitors, means more producers producing a similar type of commodity, means that comes under the highly competitive market. So it is very difficult to determine the demand in the future for a particular product, because we are having a lot of substitute similar products for this. So this makes a risk for the new entrants. Okay, and next one is the price of the commodities. This price of the commodities also influences the process of demand forecasting. That is making the pricing policies. How they are going to change the pricing policies according to the demand forecasting in the future. In such this situation, it is difficult to estimate the exact demand of the products, because in the current situation, if there is increase in the price, means the demand will decline. So it is a little bit difficult to estimate the prices in the future. And the next one is the technology. Okay, so we are having a dynamic world which has a rapid change in technology, and this existing technology and the products which is using this existing technology may become the outdated, because we are going to predict in the future. The technology which we are using now, that is existing, become outdated in the future period. So this level of technology also affects the demand forecasting. We don't know which advanced technology have to be in the future. So according to that also, the demand forecast will be affected. For example, now we are using pen drives, and before pen drives we used CDs, and before CDs, I don't know you guys whether to come to know about this or thing. The floppy disk were used. So when the CD came into the market, there is a decline in the demand for floppy disk. When the pen drives come, there is a demand. There was a decline in the demand in the CDs. Likewise, when the new and advanced technology comes, means automatically the existing technology, the products which used by the existing technology will get a lower demand. So this is also one of the factor which affects the demand forecasting. And next one, the economic viewpoint. So this is the most crucial role. This has the most crucial role in obtaining this demand forecasting. For example, if there is a positive development in the economy, means that is we are now using the globalization, privatization, all those things. So if there is a positive development in the economy, means there is a need a high level of investment. So the demand forecasting of organizations would be a positive. That is all those things in the positive line. So the economy of a country or the world economy also affects the demand forecasting. Apart from this, okay, next one is the type of the demand forecasting, and this also comes under the in sometimes comes under the factors which affects the demand forecasting. Okay, so the first one based on the economy. So the economy based on the world economy. First one is the macro level. So macro level forecasting takes into account each and every product. If you are taking a particular product's demand forecasting, means that products world production can be taken into account. So all the things can be come under the forecasting, demand forecasting. And second one is the industry level, that is that particular products industry, mobile industry, car industry, like this. And the last level is a firm industry for a single unit, based on the area or based on the industries or based on the brands. And coming to the time periods, it is also divided.
Ma'am,
Yeah,
ma'am, macro level means which one, ma'am?
macro level as a world economy.
Okay.
Each and everything was included. Every product, every items, all goods and services are included.
Okay.
Industry level refers to the particular products industry, and firm level refers to particular brands.
Hmm.
Okay. Next, come to the time period. It is also based on the time period, the time which was taken the forecast, short term, long term, very long term. Yeah, okay. Short term maybe it also depends on the features, the characteristics of the product, but generally the short term forecast taken a period for 1 year. And this forecasting was based on the judgment of the experienced staff, that is within the industry, within the firm itself. So this short period forecast generally referred for a year, 1 year period, and this judgment was based on the experienced staff or experts within the industry or within the particular economy, particular area. And second one is the long period forecast, long term forecast. The long term forecast, this is for a period of 5 to 10 years, and this will be based on the analysis. We are using scientific analysis as well as some mathematical methods, statistical methods to make a forecast. So this long period forecast based on these analysis, a scientific and mathematical analysis. This may be helpful for find out the forecasting about a new product, expansion of a business, whether to expand or not, and requirement of the finance funds. So all those things comes under the long term. And very long term forecast, that is very long term forecast. This covers the period of more than 10 years, and these forecasts are carried out with the growth of the population and the development, how the economy grows, the development, the growth of the economy, how the political situation in a country, and how the international production for a particular product, how it is to be, and how are the imports and exports, and how these trade takes place. All those things depends on this long-term forecasts. Is it clear, guys? Significance, the importance of the demand forecasting. So the first one is the fulfilling objectives. So this implies every business unit, that is each and every organization, maybe the pre-decided objectives. So this demand forecasting helps in fulfilling these kind of objectives which are already decided. So this an organization estimates the current demand for its products and services in the market and move forward to achieve the set goals, and they are moving forward towards the future. For example, if an organization has set a target of selling 50,000 units means, in this case they will have a demand forecast, and this and if the demand for the organization product is low means, so that their target is selling target is 50,000 units, and they are taking a demand forecasting. They are using some techniques and they are forecasting the demand in the future. And this forecast, that report says, if the organization products gets a low demand in the future means, the organization in the current period itself they would take a corrective actions so that the objective can be achieved. So the lesser objective, that is less than 50,000 units, can be set as target. Is it clear? Clear, guys?
Yes.
Okay, ma'am. Okay. Second one is preparing the budget. Okay. So money plays an important role in each and every business in making the estimating cost and revenue. For instance, example, if the organization have forecasted that the demand of the product, when the price is ₹10, the demand would be 1 lakh units in the future. In a case, the total revenue will be 10 into 1 lakh. So in this way, they can estimate the budget in the future, and according to that, they can make some financial arrangements in the current period itself. Is it clear? Third one is stabilizing employment and production. Okay, this helps an organization to control its production and also the recruitment activities, because the number of output, the units based on the inputs which the organization is using, and also it includes the human resources, and this producing according to the forecasted demand of products helps in avoiding the wastages. And also it helps the organization to hire the human resource. Okay, so helps in the how to control the output, number of units which have to be produced, and how to recruit the human resources, because other than the human resources we can buy other resources if it is available, we can buy. But the human resource is not like that. So we have to control the human activities, that is recruitment activities, for controlling the human recruitment. So that is one of the thing to control the production, that will helps the increase or decrease the output. And expanding the organizations, next one is the expanding the organizations. This implies that the demand forecasting helps in deciding about the expansion of the business of the organization. That is maybe the new plant, or if the plant is expanded in the same place, or they can choose the some other regions to make a new unit. So if the expected demand for the products is higher means, then the organization may plan to expand further. Otherwise, if the expectations, that is the expected demand is false means, automatically they can cut down the investment which to be invested in the business. And next one is making management decisions. Critical decisions have to be made, such as deciding the plant capacity, the usage of machines and other tools, and determining the requirement of raw materials. For example, some industries can use the raw materials which is spiritual in nature. So they have to decide the requirement of those kind of raw materials, and also ensuring the availability of the labor and the capital. So these kind of decisions comes under the management, and these are called as the management decisions. And evaluating performance. This helps in making corrections. That is, for example, if the demand for an organization's product is less means, it may take some corrective actions in the current period itself, and they can improve the level of that is the quality of the products by for the future rise of demand of those products. So this evaluating performance is used to making corrections in the current period, which is based on the demand forecasting. And helping government. So mainly this regards to the policies which was fixed by the government, and now we are having some production policies, price policies, the maximum units have to be produced, the ceiling, and we are having certain rules and regulations which should be followed while we are importing and exporting commodities and the related activities. So all those things comes under the helping government. Is it clear, guys? Shall we move to the next one?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Next one is the steps for forecasting. Okay. So we are having several steps for forecasting. How to make a forecast for a particular product. First is to identification of the objective. So, what do you mean by identification of objective? That is how to set the objective. Okay. So it's a general thing. Each and every firm want to earn more revenue, so they will set the objective like based on this for earning more revenue. So organization needs to clearly state the purpose of demand forecasting before initiating the process. And second one is select the item. They have to determine which product. If they are producing more than one product means which product, the demand for which product have to be forecast. And next one is determining the time period. This involves the time perspective for the demand forecasting, maybe a long period or a short period. So in the short run, we can determine the policies, or which can be find out by using the mathematical or statistical method, that is within the organization itself by collecting the data, or otherwise they can take a long period by taking surveys and all those things. And the next one is selecting a method of demand forecasting. We are having different types of demand forecasting, different techniques of demand forecasting. This demand forecasted, for example, if one firm which are producing a similar type of commodities which are substitutes. If one firm follows a particular technique to make a forecast, means the other industry, the competitive industry or a firm cannot use the same technique, because this depends on the investment and also the money fund which they are going to make for this demand forecasting. So demand forecasting differs from organization, and also it depends on the purpose of forecasting, why they are going to going to do this, and the time frame, that may be the long or the short. All those things takes place, and also the requirement of the data and its availability. The availability of data also got an important place. The next point says about the collecting data. So the data may be of two types. One is the primary data, second one is the secondary data. So primary data refers to the data that is collected by the researchers or the field workers through observations, interviews. They can use any channels. They can observe and they can collect data. They can interview the persons which the data should be to be collected, and they can use questionnaires. They can follow the scheduled method. So we are having several methods to collect the primary data. So they can use any primary data. So the persons who are used to collect these kind of data may be called as the researchers or the field workers. They are collecting data, and according to the data which was collected by those persons can be estimated. Otherwise, the secondary data can be used. That is which was already that is collected in the past. So with this, the data collection got over. After collecting the data, we have to validate the results and how to implement this. So this involves making an estimate of demand forecasting for predetermined years, and this results will be easily interpreted. That is, if we are having some data for the past 10 years, means we can predict the data for the upcoming 2 years. If the curve is slope downwards, means we can say there will be decline in the sales too for 2 years, 2 more years, or for a year. If there is some improvement in the quality, means there will be a chance to have a positive slope in the curve. So we can easily predict the results from the data which was collected by the field workers or the researchers. Is it clear, guys? So these are the okay, pa. So these are the things which have to be taken before the forecast have to be done. So the next slide says about the forecasting methods. What's the time? It's going to 1:15. Okay. And we stop here because the forecasting techniques, it takes time to explain. So we can have it in the next class. What about you guys?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, Abhishek. Okay, ma. Okay, ma. Okay. Wait a minute. I'll download the attendance list. Okay. So in this class, we just discussed how to calculate or how to find out the equilibrium price and the demand from the demand and the supply equations, and how to know about the exceptions, how to determine the exception and which category it falls under, and also we started the demand forecasting, and just we discussed all the theoretical background of this demand forecasting, why it is so significant for the producers and also for the customers too, and also what are the other factors which affects the demand forecasting, and why they are the organizations, why they are doing this demand forecasting, all those things. And we are having several techniques how these forecasting have to be done. So we are having some theoretical techniques as well as some mathematical and statistical techniques to make a forecast of the product, and we can discuss this in the next class. Yeah, okay guys. So we can wind up now.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, pa. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, ma. Thank you.